thank you so much for doing this. I know how busy you are, but I really, really appreciate you doing this.
Great. But say hello to your parents for me.
Yes, of course, of course, of course. No, we don't have a lot of time, so let's just get right into these questions. So in my research, I found out that you initially, you got your degree in political science. Um, so what made you want to transition from lawyer to the arts?
What sort of class is this for?
This is for my directing class.
Oh, wow. Um, wow. I was a political science major in college in Atlanta because it had no math. And
Okay.
and I didn't like math a lot, but I was very socially aware and I was politically conscious. And first week in Atlanta, I met the mayor of Atlanta at that time, Maynard Jackson. And I was so impressed at the political structure of Atlanta. So anyway, I was a political science major. And during my time there, I met people who drew my interest, like Spike Lee and Samuel L. Jackson, and all those people, LaTanya Richardson Jackson, Afema Omalami, Liz Omalami. Those people were in that, in my around campus. And I just started hanging with them. So I then turned all my electives into theater classes. So I was like, all my electives were just theater. And then in the summertime, I worked with the Cedar program and I worked with Atlanta Street Theater and started doing plays in the summertime. So outside of my major, everything was theater. So I didn't actually change it. I just was doing everything because I love those people. It was interesting to me. I got a chance to perform in the plays. All my electives were in that. And then I went to law school right after I left Clark College. And I didn't stay long, but that was very revealing to me. Like, oh, I don't want to be a lawyer. And so I it started making sense to me what I wanted to be. And I left law school because of a personal thing that happened in Florida with my brother. And so I had to leave law school, but I was planning to go back. But in that time out, I came back to Atlanta and I started working in this program, Academy of Music and Theater, where they did programs in prisons and with the homeless population and stuff like that. So in that year away, I was like, ooh, I like this. And so they hired me to act in the children's theater and the theater for youth. And I even came up with something called People of the Brick, where I work with the homeless population. I recruited homeless people with the playwright Barbara Lebo. And I remember the end of that year, it was like, well, do you want to go back to law school or do you want to do this? And at that time, I was making like $200 a week. And I was like, for me, the young kid, I was like, oh, that's good. I'll do that. I'll live with 5 people. I don't care. This is what I want out of life. So that's how it kind of turned for me. But I always had interest in theater. I didn't know that there were careers in it. And I grew up very poor in Florida. So, mom's like, you better go to school and do something, try to be a preacher.
All right.
So
All
anyway,
right.
I don't know. Did I answer your question, Arden?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Who were or are your influences in theater?
Samuel L. Jackson. I remember I came to Atlanta and I saw him I was 17 years old and I saw him in a play at Center Stage on West Peachtree. And I had never seen anything like that. And I got to know him and he's continued to be a mentor and a friend. I don't do anything professionally without checking in with him because he kind of grew up like me. He grew up in the South. He grew up poor. He grew up raised by his mother, his grandparents, you know what I mean? So it was like we had similar backgrounds and we came from that idea from the South, like, if you're 18, you get up and you go to work. You try to you try to build a life. So that's why today, we both are like, hey, what are you doing? I'm working. I'm doing another play. And I'm doing another movie. And it's like, no, we don't need time to rest. We can rest when we're no longer on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Gotcha.
So Samuel L. Jackson is one. Um, Felicia Rashad. Uh, It's just so many people that inspire me. I got to know Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis. They were great. The great Lord Richards, wonderful director, and of course August Wilson at the center of those that continue to inspire me. And I got to know, and to have been in the same space with Sidney Poitier, to have been in the same space with Harry Belafonte now at 95 years old, and you know talking to him every so often, trying to get his story out in the world. And then I'm working on a play on Broadway right now called Ohio State Murders, which is a 91-year-old playwright, Adrian Kennedy. And I remember reading her when I was in college, and she never had a Broadway play until now. At 91 years old, this is a Broadway debut. So people like that continue to inspire me. Athol Fugard, who was a friend and is a wonderful writer, he's inspired me. Yeah, so many.
Wonderful. What would you say is the biggest difference between directing for the stage and directing for TV?
The technology.
Of course.
So everything else is about truth.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
it's the same thing. It's like truth is truth. And you just have to, the technology will adjust to you. So you just got to find the truth. And so many actors are afraid of truth, so they stay away from truth. So camera picks it up. The stage will reveal non-truth as well. So it's just mainly just technology.
Okay. Okay. How would you describe your directing style?
As Felicia Rashad would say, she said, I'm a everyman director. I'm really just, you know, make it simple, make it plain, make it clear.
Yeah.
Let there be a beginning, a middle, and an end. Uh, I have a raw approach to pushing people to reach their greatness and to keep searching for truth.
Okay. Yeah. My mother would bring up the story of when you were at the Alliance and you would always be like, keep it real, y'all. Keep it real.
So
um,
I'm doing this play but on Broadway now called Top Dog Underdog, and we have a saying and with those two men, Yahya Mateen and Corey Hawkins, and I said, keep it in the room, keep it in the room, which
yeah.
means that so many actors are aware of the audience. They put it out in the audience. They don't
Right.
keep it in the room. So keep it in the room. And that's, just like Heidi says, keep it real, keep it real.
Yeah. Speaking of Top Dog Underdog, I actually was in New York last week and I had the chance to see it.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
I had the chance to see it. It was beautifully, beautifully done. Wonderful,
Oh,
wonderful work.
thank you for taking the time. I
Of
appreciate
course. So how
it.
did Top Dog Underdog come about and how did you handle the material and the rehearsal room?
Oh, that's a big question. The David Stone who produced Wicked on Broadway came to me, and with the idea of me directing Susan Laurie Parks' play, and then I eventually spent time with Susan Laurie Parks, and we sort of hit it off and said,
She's
"Let's do
great.
it." It's a 20-year anniversary of this. Yeah, it's one of the best experiences of my life. Just in working with her, we had the right actors in the room. We had a writer that respected the director that respected the writer. So it was a kind of a perfect process. And in that process, every 30 minutes, the first 30 minutes of every day, we talked about things we had witnessed in the world. And I think in the last 48 hours, 24 hours. And I think sometimes as artists, we go through life looking for the next job and we don't take time to observe life. And we are supposed to be telling stories about life. And so there's a disconnect between artists and what's really happening in the world. And I think that Top Dog, even though it's 20 years old, I think that production of Top Dog, it's tied to what many people are going through in the world post COVID, since the last 2.5 years, So I think there's a realness and an authenticity about that production because we were so in tune that homelessness, what would make a young person come to the theater? Why should they come to the theater? How is the world different since Breonna Taylor and George Floyd's death? So all that find its way into that production in the subtle ways. You know, even when you walk in the theater, I wanted the music to be up so loud that you had to pay attention to it. I wanted to be cross-generational. I wanted to say to young folks that, you know, I tell my daughter, I say, like, you're smarter than I am. No, I'm not. Yes, you're smarter than I am, but you know what? I got wisdom. I got 30 years on you. So we need each other, you know, and if we pay attention to each other cross-generationally, cross cross genders, cross all identities, we can create some great things. It's only when we try to, you know, we try to just eliminate people from their identity to contribute to the whole. So with that production, we sort of open it up to what's real in the world. What does the world need? The world needs humanity to love on itself a little more. And that last image in Top Dog was actually I felt it was a photo. It was God taking a picture of us and saying,
Yeah.
really, is this it? This is where we are? What are we going to do about it? So
Yeah,
yeah.
that final look was really something. But it was a beautiful play.
Thank you.
Really well done. Let's see. Do you have a specific directing work that you're the most proud of?
No, I was always the last thing that I do.
Okay.
so so right
Nice.
now it's Top Dog, and next week I hope it'll be Ohio State
State
Murder.
Murders. Lovely. Love that.
Yeah.
Do you have any longing directing dreams that you still want to achieve?
Nope. I just want there to be more variety of plays. I want to hear everybody's story, and I want everybody's not in everybody's story, but everybody's story should be told. So I just want to keep seeing the variety of storytelling grow, especially on the commercial stage.
Okay. Okay. You've worked with big names and local names alike. How has working with such a variety of people changed you as a director?
Well, it's made me understand that people are people. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
like nobody's gonna get out of here alive. So it's like if I work with a famous person, I'm pushing them. Work with a non-famous person, I'm pushing them. So it's everybody's on the same playing field.
Nice. How do you think you've contributed to the world of theater? Like, what do you think your lasting impression is going to be?
Um, I, I think I've trying to, you know, my mom, I was like, you should be a preacher. And then my grandmother said, you should be a lawyer. And I think in many ways I'm both. So I'm sort of in the ministry, the theater ministry. And so it's just about how to, I hope I've helped people understand that, you know, we can sit next to each other and we can be different. But at the end of the day, we all are sort of the same. We got hearts and we got minds and we got blood. And I just want to, I guess I want to be known for helping people realize or remind people that everybody should be respected and appreciated. Every life is of value. Every life, regardless of what it looks like or who they go to bed with.
Okay, okay. Let's see. Any advice you would give to directors just starting their training?
Find your spiritual center, whatever that may be. For me, it's Christianity. For somebody else, it may be something else. But it's such a lonely business, especially if you're fighting to tell, uh, you know, stories with a singular vision. You know what I mean? It's like it's hard. Somebody's always going to say, I don't like that, or they would talk you out of your boldness. They would talk you out of making your choice that would make you different or make it, you know, you know, you can't do it. They won't make any money. So I would say have that spiritual center. So when you run up against people who don't believe in you, you're able to say, nah, no, I'm going to do it this way. Nope, I really seems like a simple thing, but like even with Top Dog, right? In the first design meeting, I said, I want I see an American flag dipped in gold. And, huh? It's on the stage. Or in the neck, I said, I see skeletons coming out of the wall. Oh, so if you're at a certain angle, you can see that last image. That was our bones in that wall. But at the end of the day, it looks like the designers and I we're just seamless. It's like we're working together. It's a real good dance in that production of the director, the actors, the writer, and the designers. And I had to get confident about what I saw in my mind and not afraid of it, in hopes that we will build a truth for this production. So, as I guess fully answer your question, I think you need a spiritual center so you can trust yourself and you realize that there's something bigger than you, and that bigger than you is going to always catch you. It's going to hold you. It's going to love you, unlike people, because people will disappoint you. The
Right.
business will disappoint you. Commercial theater will disappoint you. Netflix, ABC, they'll
Yeah.
disappoint you. So you have to say, okay, I'm on the planet. What am I doing? What I want to do? And you got to trust it.
Okay.
So got to have that spiritual center.
All right. Is there any big difference between directing a play versus directing a musical, or is it more or less the same?
I think it's the same. I think I always tell people I'm a storyteller. So I've done opera. I did Toni Morrison's opera. I've done TV. I've done film. I've done stage. I've done musical. I've done drum. And at the end of the day, they're all stories. You just have to understand the form. So it's still like, what's the beginning? What's the middle? What's the end? What's the form? What's if it's a comedy, it has to be funny. What's going to keep it authentically funny? If it's a musical, you better have two tunes that people are humming when they leave. So it's just like how to tell the story, how to move the narrative, and how to use the medium, how to use, if it's TV, you got how to use that camera, you know what I mean? How to move it, when to move it. If I'm doing theater, it's like how to force people to look where I want them to look. So I have a very cinematic approach to my directing style. So when I'm doing a play, I know people read left to right. So that's the first place they're gonna look. They're gonna look left. So that's where they're gonna automatically look. So it's like, how do I lead them from there if I want them to look right? If I got 10 people on stage, I got to move them in such a way to make them look exactly where I want them to look. So I'm always trying to control where everyone looks at every second of the play. Some theater directors don't do that. And it's like you sit in the back of the house and you watch the patrons' heads. Everybody's looking where they want to look, different times, different places. Some people are asleep, some people are looking over here, some people are looking over there. But I have what you call controlled focus. So I stand in the back of the theater and I'm like, okay, where are they looking? Oh, they're all looking left. Now I want them to look upstage. Now they're looking there. And if I can control that, then I have a shot at making them feel something. But I got to make them look where I want them to look. So when I go on a set to do TV, like last year I did Gossip Girl, or when I did the Mahalia Jackson film, you got tools. So now it's got, I got a crane, I got a dolly, oh, I can do a push in here, but I'm still controlling where they look, and I have more tools for TV. So actually TV and film is easier for me because I can get the viewer to look where I want them to look easier. In the theater, I got 1,000 people, 1,200 people. How do I make all of them look right here? And and then when I work with actors who have done both, so I can work with Kerry Washington and we did American Son on Broadway. I can say, Carrie, I need this to be a push in. She said, what do you mean? We're not doing a film. I said, yeah. But a push in for theater would be if you sat on the edge of that couch as Stephen Pasquale is behind you, walking toward you. He walks toward you from behind. You sit down at the same tempo. That's a push in for the stage. So then I go cross back and forth. So when I'm on film set, I can talk theater stuff. When I'm on theater, I can talk film stuff. Whatever it takes for the actor to understand, to give me what we need for the scene.
Okay. Okay. All right. Last question.
Yeah.
Is there a show that you have not worked on before that you really want to get your hands on?
No.
No?
No.
No? Okay.
Yeah, doing. I mean, I think it's all. I mean, I got 3 or 4 plays in the development. Like next year, I'm doing Our Town. I've always wanted to do Our Town for Broadway, so I'm doing Our Town, but I'm doing Our Town for Our Time. So what does that
Mm,
look like? You know what I mean? Who's in it? What do the people look like? Because it's a play that deals with our time on the planet, you know. But
mhm,
when I was growing up as a poor Black kid in Tallahassee, Florida, that never occurred to me. Like that play was like, oh, that's the white people are in that play, and it's got a ladder in it, and it's a stage manager. I don't know,
mhm.
it's so
And the
boring.
graveyard, and yeah.
Yeah, and
I did Our Town my freshman year of high school.
oh
So,
wow.
mhm.
So then when I finally found out if you include everybody in it and everybody's culture in it, then it becomes the most wonderful play ever. So I'm doing that for Broadway next year. I'm doing Ain't Supposed to Die a Natural Death, written by Melvin Van Peebles. I did that in college and I've always wanted to do it commercially. Now somebody's giving me a shot to do that. I'm actually doing another Shakespeare in the Park this year. I can't announce it yet, but so there's something that I'm that I've been wanting to do that I'm actually getting an opportunity to do. So God willing, you know, yeah.
It's nice. I frequent your Much Ado often.
Oh,
It's great. I love it so much.
oh, thank you so
Listen,
much.
listen, Kenny, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for taking the time out of your
Oh,
very
absolutely.
hectic schedule to do this. I know you're probably running around and like meetings and whatnot, but I
Oh,
really,
good.
really appreciate this.
I wish you every success, and I'll see you out here when you're killing it. When you're killing it.
Thank you so much, Kenny. Have a great rest of your day.
Okay, take care. Bye.